Good evening and welcome to Brockton Community Access's coverage of election 2015. Today in the City of Champions we have a bunch of elections going on. The first one is the State Senate, Special State Senate race, and we will be giving you information on that. We will be giving you only Brockton numbers on that. The races that are on the ballot tonight here in Brockton are the mayor's race, the Councillor-At-Large race. There are ward council races and ward school committee races. Joining me in studio tonight is Larry Curtis. Welcome, Larry.
Thank you, Mark, for having me back again. Thank you.
And we have Tom Minicello.
Thank you, Mark. Great to be here. Hello, Larry.
And we will be seating. Former Senator Robert Creedon, current Clerk of Courts. It's soon. We have video out in the field. We've been out during the day. Jay Miller went out in the field and talked to different candidates, and we'll be showing you some of that. We have Senate race, we have wards 5 and 6, and we have the Councillor-At-Large race. We caught up with as many candidates as we could find on the trail as soon as we could track them down. Gentlemen, you probably have phones that are already vibrating, buzzing, whatever. You've probably been out doing your job during the day, and in between, electioneering.
Well, the first thing we have to say is what a beautiful day the weather has held up, for a fantastic turnout. The elections office predicts about a 35% turnout. It's possible that could be as high as 37, 38% when the votes are finalized here at which the polls are now closed. So those numbers are sure being generated as we speak. I think there was a lot of excitement in the city at the different polling places. I was in Ward 6 in particular at the Ashfield and the Brookfield School throughout the morning and the early afternoon. A lot of traffic in and out of the school buildings to the polls. So I think we're looking at a great turnout, and we got, as you mentioned, 3 or 4 specific races that I think, as we've seen in Brockton, we're going to come down to a real close race.
And one of them made state news last night, the Ward 6 race. John Keller at Large joined us, and you told me, Larry, you were over Tinray's earlier tonight, and they're doing a follow-up.
Well, yeah, for those that may not have caught it, WBZ did a little take on the Ward 6 City Council race. They took the time to interview Steve Foote and Jack Lally, 2 of the candidates running for the vacated seat by Councillor Dubois, who is now our state representative. And the piece was actually very interesting because it was really based upon the young upstart high school graduate, freshman in college, Jack Lally, going against a long-term city employee, city resident, Steve Foote, and there's 4 decades between the age bracket.
We also would like to note that many of the polling places here in the city are in the schools, and the school committee decided early on that it would be best to have a day off for our students because of the high traffic, and for safety's sake, I think it worked out very well. The polling places didn't have to battle with the buses, and the students didn't have to battle with cars and people who were pretty much unfamiliar with the schools and the layouts. Every year we have people coming in the wrong way. We had an instance before where someone came too close and was actually up on one of the sidewalks a couple of years ago. So I think it works out very well, and Larry basically stated the facts that this has been a very busy day, a beautiful day for voting here in Brockton. I think it was a good decision for safety's sake to have the kids out of school.
I will follow up that, Tom, particularly at the Brookfield School, because traditionally the Brookfield School has 3 precincts, and the voting takes place generally inside the school gymnasium, which is a very long walk from the parking lot to get into the gymnasium. In addition to the construction that's going on at the school, you're replacing the roofs, so there's a lot of construction debris around there, and to have that polling available right up front in the main entrance by the cafeteria, I know that many of the elderly that live in Ward 6 found that to be very, very comforting.
Yeah, I think it was a good plan, and I'm glad that we did it.
Yep.
So when I went over to Ward 6 the last election, you needed a golf cart to get down to the entrance where it was. In some of the schools, it's far back, like over at the Raymond School.
Yep.
And I went over I think the Gilmore School, so a really good decision to do that. Guess we might get the chance to do it all over again in February if, depending on the results of the state Senate race, some state representative is going to get a promotion and the
Correct.
other one's going to stay in place. And they're only going to have a one-year term.
Yeah, I mean, very interesting. Basically, each one of them gets a pass because no one's going to lose their position no matter what. I mean, one is going to, like you said, get a promotion, and the other one's going to stay in the same spot. So it's
yeah.
you know, so for both candidates, they took a minimum of risk to their own positions. You know, so it's a very unique situation.
And as Mark alluded to, there will be a vacant state rep seat, whether it be the Democratic seat held by Michael Brady here or the Republican seat held by Jeff Deal. You know, definitely there will be it's another special election, which I think we're getting special election wipeout here.
Absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
you know.
We're going to run down the races. We have, my staff put together the faces of the ward races. How's that? Faces of the races.
Okay.
And
Wow.
the other faces. So we're going to turn around and take a look at the monitor, and we can take a look here. We have the state senator seat for the 2nd Plymouth and Bristol district. You have Michael Brady, who's the Democratic state representative from Brockton, Jeff Deal, who's the Republican state representative from Whitman and East Bridgewater, Anna Grace Raddick, who's running as an unenrolled independent. I hate that word, unenrolled. The mayor's race, as we know, we have Mayor Bill Carpenter running for re-election, challenged by Christopher McMillan, the former Ward 7 councilor. Ward 1 City Council, we have incumbent Tim Cruz, the current city councilor, challenged a second time by Tom Siddell, who ran last time 2 years ago. Over in Ward 1 School Committee, I think we can predict this one right
Who's that
now.
guy?
We have Tom Minicello,
Tom, did
candidate
you
for
vote for
re-election.
yourself?
Okay, just going to
I hope
make
my
sure
wife did.
want to make sure you voted for yourself. Ward 2 City Council is Tom Monahan, candidate for re-election. He's unopposed. Ward 2 School Committee coming up after this is Lisa Plant. She's a new member of unopposed.
Very active member of PTAs, parent volunteer.
She's
Andy Robinson.
Andy Robinson.
Andy
Ward
Robinson.
3 City Council, current Council President Dennis Aneri, candidate for re-election, challenged by Marlon Green. Ward 3 School Committee, Mark D'Agostino, who ran 2 years ago when Alicia Clark was elected, came in second by 29 votes. Blessing Rogers, who we know who has done a show here on Brockton Community Access, Africa Express. Ward 4 City Council, Paul F. Studensky, candidate for re-election, unopposed. Ward 4 School Committee, this is a seat being vacated by Patricia Joyce, who's held it, I think, since 2006, if I'm not mistaken. Brett Gormley.
2005.
2005. Thank you, Tom. Brett Gormley is a candidate. He's unenrolled. And Milton Montero, who's a Democrat running for the seat, nonpartisan election. Ward 5 City Council, you got Ollie J. Spears and Ann Beauregard. That's the vacant seat from Dennis DiNapoli, who's retiring. Ward 5 School Committee is Judy Sullivan, candidate for re-election. She's running again. This is one of the most interesting races. Ward 6 City Council, Stephen Foote, former chair of the Democratic City Committee, versus John Jack Lally, who is a Bridgewater State College freshman. Ward 7 coming up, Ward 6, Joyce Asak, who's unopposed. That's the seat that Ozzie Jordan filled after the untimely passing of Michael Healy. Ward 7, Shirley Asak, sister of Joyce Asak. She's running for re-election unopposed. And then Ward 7 is current school committee member Ray Henningsen, candidate for re-election, versus Tim Sullivan, who had held the seat for 4 years. He was a former school committee member, gave up his seat to run for city council. So those are the races that we have here today, and now we're back on set. and we are being joined by Senator Creedon. We're going to adjust your chair at some point, Senator.
Yes, I'm in a hole here.
Okay, because
Not in a hole many times.
you're a big guy, and we don't want you to be in a small seat. I think there are different candidates and races that they do that in. You give them the podium, and they're taller or smaller. We certainly didn't mean to do that. Welcome to the set, Senator.
Thank you. Look, glad to be here.
Welcome, Senator.
Well, we had a good time last time in
We did.
the election, because no one would know more about the seat than either yourself or the previous occupant of the seat, but he can't, unfortunately, comment. We miss Senator Kennedy. This whole race is because we lost him on an untimely basis, and they did a wonderful tribute for him over at the at Raynham Taunton, where they renamed the Patient Advocacy Fund over at Signature Brockton Hospital in Tom Kennedy's name. His sister was down, and Tom, I'll tell you, that was a funeral to end all funerals. It was like a state funeral in Brockton. The last time that happened is when David Crosby passed at the same church. Different name, same church. So,
Well, the senator was certainly vested in the city. He did a great job. He loved Brockton. He loved the people. He loved to be around people. And we all know he was such a wonderful speaker. I enjoyed listening to him on many occasions, you know, at City Hall Plaza, giving speeches on whatever issue was of the day. So we're all going to miss him. But it's nice to have a student of Brockton politics here tonight from the senator. He probably has a long memory of many interesting elections and interesting quips regarding some of the ongoings that took place. So it's great to have you here.
Thank you, Tom. It's going to be an interesting race because Brockton has been the pivotal point for the Senate seat over the years, going back to even before Dr. Miles, who preceded Senator James Blackie Burke, who was replaced by Anna Patricia Buckley, and then my own brother Michael, and myself, and then Tom. So Brockton has been the kind of the fulcrum. The Republican Party put up, I think, its closest challenge back with Ward 3 City Councilor John Buddy Johnson, who later became the executive director of the Brockton Housing Authority. And now Buddy, I think, is about his early 80s. He owns the Milepost Restaurant in Duxbury. But he gave Blackie Burke quite a race years ago. And then since then, it's been pretty, generally the Democrat would win 70% of the vote to high 20s for the Republican. But times have changed. I mean, the district has changed a bit. It used to include Stoughton and Avon, Abington, Rockland, and the city. And then there was the addition of Norwell, and then came out, and then they added Easton. And there's been some minor tinkering with the district, but it tends to the east of the city. The 6 towns to the east tend to be somewhat conservative. When I was running, you would have Bill Weld winning, Reagan, various Republicans from the national and state scene. And oddly enough, they would win in those elections, and Tommy Kennedy or myself or my brother Michael would get 70% of the same vote that would elect the Republican would go with the 3 of us. But it's become more conservative, I would submit. And I think the Trump factor is going to be interesting in this election. There are a lot of disaffected folks who don't normally vote or have erratic voting habits. And they've been stirred up by the Trump campaign. And it's going to be interesting to see how that factor figures in those towns east of the city.
And there's been no question that the Republican Party saw an opportunity with the unfortunate passing of Senator Kennedy to rally around the recent election of Governor Bakers as a Republican governor to, put the resources in behind, obviously State Representative Deal, and try to overcome what has really been that Democratic hold on that seat. So
Well, I think part of it, too, is that the Democratic Party has changed. I think you have some fiscally responsible Democrats who look at the party today in terms of some of the social issues and where things are at. And there's definitely many factions of the Democratic Party today. So some of us, on the Republican side, I would say share many of the values and many of the issues with some of the more conservative Democrats. And we're probably in sync on most of the issues today. You've got a very quote, progressive or liberal wing of the Democratic Party, and many of your union members do not feel in sync with some of the policies and some of the issues that their more liberal members of the Democratic Party are following and going towards. I spoke to a couple of people the other day who are staunch Democrats, and with respect to this presidential election, they don't like the way the country's going. And they are going to be voting Republican no matter what.
We have some video that we shot out in the field that Jay Miller went out and spoke with Mike Brady. We did attempt to also track down Jeff Deal, but we couldn't get him, and he acknowledged via text that we tried. So Mike Brady was out in the field with Claire Cronin, and we have some footage that I just want to make sure I'm not jumping the queue on. We want to hear what Mike Brady has to say. I don't think he came up for air when he was talking, and if you know Mike, Mike likes to talk, and Mike has a lot to say. So if we can take a look at that footage, we'll see what Jay Miller had to say.
Well, we lost a good friend in Tom Kennedy. He was a great senator from the district, a great advocate on behalf of the district, and before that a state representative of the city council. And he did a great job. He's sadly missed today as I go around the district to meet all my supporters. I'm forever grateful to all the work from Tom Kennedy. But moving forward, I am also grateful to all the supporters I have out there. I've got people in neighborhoods knocking on doors trying to get the vote out, making phone calls, people holding signs. I've got tremendous support all over the district, and I couldn't do it without the team effort we have here in Brockton and the rest of the district. So I'm going to continue to meet with my supporters to thank them for all their support today. Luckily, we have a great warm day out there today. Beautiful sunny day in Brockton, and we're working all over the district today, all the way from Hanover to Plimpton to Easton, Brockton, and all the other towns in between. I'm going to continue to do what I've always done, work my tail off and advocate on behalf of the constituents that I've always worked for. I went to West Junior High, where we're standing out in front of now, and it reminds me of growing up in the city of Brockton here, and I was a lot younger and thinner then and no gray hairs, but it does seem like yesterday, but it was in the early 70s, and it brings back a lot of great memories and all the friends you might have grown up with, and I still keep in contact with a lot of our friends, even though we were at the peak of the baby boom generation graduating from Brockton High in 1980. We're fortunate that we still have a lot of friends we keep in contact with. Of course, some of our friends have passed on, and we miss them, and they're in our hearts, like Tom Kennedy up in heaven looking down on us with a great thought, but and great memories, of course. But we want to keep moving this district forward. We want to work together to keep the city of Brockton moving forward. And we've come a long way, but there's still a lot of work to do. Brockton depends greatly on funding from the state, these other communities as well, supporting our seniors, supporting our healthcare workers, and jobs. We need to provide more jobs, and we need to bring the revenue to get this Massasoit Community College up and running for their Allied Health Center and the college collaboration. And I want to thank all the people who are supporting me in this election. I couldn't have done it without you.
I know it would mean a lot for Mike. Senator Kennedy, will never be replaced in all of our hearts. But I know that Mike was mentored by Senator Kennedy, and Senator Kennedy loved working with Mike. And they did a lot together when Mike was a rep, and hopefully he'll carry on his Senate seat. But more than this will mean to Mike, it will mean great things for the city of Brockton. Because the reality is Mike has been here every day, every step of the way for this city, but he's been active in the towns as well, so it will be a good day for all when Mike Brady's elected, without a doubt.
Here live on set in studio, we have we just heard from Mike Brady and and Claire Cronin, state representative, both state representatives. We have other video as well. We are going to take a look at the Councillor-At-Large race, which is, there are 4 candidates that Jay tracked down out in the field. Actually, 3 challengers and 1 incumbent, okay? Finding all 8 of them in the given day is a little bit difficult, but if we have that queued up, I will we'll take a look at the screen and we will see which Councillor-At-Large pops up first.
For this interview, we've been working non-stop, and today is a big day. And we're very fortunate to have a good weather. It's about like 70 degrees, so I feel good. People coming out and vote, and I strongly believe that we have a bigger turnout than last time, because I see people very excited about today. So basically they got the message, everybody wants to get involved to change the city. So I feel good, I do the work, I send my message, I talk to people, and all I'm asking you to go out and vote, because if you don't vote, it's not count. Your vote means a lot. So everywhere I go, I said one word. If you need change, you must vote. So I feel good about today, and I'm waiting for 8 o'clock to see the result. And I thank you. I thank all of you. It doesn't matter if you voted for me or not. When I become a city councilor, we're going to work together, because we are one city, one Brockton. We need to see the old Brockton City of Champion again.
Feeling great today. There's been a lot of great support out there. Leading up to this, like I said many times, I've been door knocking since April. Really turned it on after the preliminary, and hopefully have a ton of support. Felt a lot of support through social media, phone calls, text messages, and I'm feeling pretty confident today. What I've really done is I've actually engaged people a lot more. I've actually knocked on over 4,000 doors. I've engaged different groups of people, reaching out to the voters, and really the whole flavor of Brockton is what I've reached out to. Everyone realizes there's a need for economic development in the city. One of the big things that people say is that there's really nothing to do in Brockton. If we invite economic development, if we stop fighting business from coming in here, we'll make Brockton a more vibrant city for people to live and grow their family. Thank you very much. The support this time has been absolutely tremendous. I really appreciate everything that everybody's done. Thank you.
We're with Gary Keith. Gary, you are running for Councillor-At-Large. It's been a very contested race. Walk us through. You're here today. You put a lot of hard work into it. Walk us through this experience.
Well, I'll tell you, just like 2 years ago, it's exciting. You know, you get to meet a lot of people here in the city of Brockton. You know, it's hard work, but it's well rewarded, you know, in the end, you know, and you're just doing something for the city that you love, you know, so very, very well. And then this one here keeps me going. Beautiful wife.
Now, 2013, you ran.
Yes.
What did you learn from that experience, and how has it helped you this year?
You know, I learned basically what the mistakes that I did make not to win 2 years ago. I actually were able to correct them this time around. I'm basically just getting out there, pounding the pavement even harder. I mean, you have to put your feet down. You know, you have to walk every single day. You know, you have to get out there. You have to knock on the doors. You just have to meet everybody. So, you know, just keep on grinding away. You know, it's not going to be easy. You know, the voters ask for more, they demand more, and they should get more. You know, so hopefully this time here, tonight, we're victorious. We didn't make it past the primary the last time. Somehow we're doing something right this time, because we did. And, of course, sitting on the planning board and the zoning board didn't hurt at all. And hopefully, after tonight's tally, I'm one of the representatives as the next city councilor-at-large.
You appear more confident this time around.
I really do, and the higher the voter turnout goes, I think it plays a little bit more into my favor. I'm not taking anything away from any of the voters. I mean, any of the other candidates. I just feel that Brockton still wants a change. They're looking for a change. I think they're looking at me now more in a leadership and more of a positive role here in the city of Brockton. They've heard what I can do. They've seen some of the things that I can do, and I think it's well needed. I mean, we do have some newcomers that are running this year. Yeah, I paid my dues 2 years ago, and hopefully this is one of those times to where after tonight I'm victorious.
You do look scary. We are recording. Is this on?
Is it on? Is this thing on? Can you hear me? Testing 1 2 1 2.
How does this work? Wait. All right. I just saw you over at East Middle, and now we're here at West. How many stops will you make today?
You know what? I'm going to make as many stops as I can, and here's the advantage of being an incumbent candidate. I not only can campaign for myself, but I can campaign also for my friends. So that's why I've added the Tim Cruz sign. We're over here in Ward 1, and I've added my colleague and my friend in government, Tim Cruz. He's running for Ward 1 re-election. And of course, over at East, I had my Michael Brady for State Senate, and of course, to top the ticket, Shana Bonds. But we're just having a really good time on here. There's so many people. The atmosphere is fun. It's light. You know, we're competitors, in the same contest, but no one's had an ill word to say about one another. I wish everyone the best of luck. And as we go forward, on to 8 o'clock tonight. So.
Yeah, one thing noticed this year is the Council-at-Large race has been very civil.
Yes, very much. And 2 years ago when I ran for the first time, it was like that as well. And even after the first cut, and I was actually the only woman left in the race, the gentlemen, they were always professional, they were always respectful of me, and they treated me like an equal, and that was all I wanted. I wanted to be treated like an equal. And this time it's been the same. But it is different because now, there was another woman in the race, and it's just, we've seen each other on the street, and I mean, even here, at the last location, one of my competitors, he was there, and now here, we're at the same location. So we're all trying to do the same thing, and we get it, and everyone, I feel, genuinely has a true love for the city, and we want to do what we think is best in the best interest of the city. So we're all in the same mindset, and that's good. It's refreshing.
Hey, you've heard from 4 candidates for Councillor-at-Large, 3 challengers and 1 incumbent. We have coming up next, we took a look at the Ward 5 City Council race, the Ward 6 City Council race, and the Ward 6 School Committee race, which isn't a race because Joyce Asak's unopposed. We were unable to get in touch with Ann Beauregard. We did talk to Ollie Spears. So let's take a look at Ward 5 first, with Ollie Spears, who is seeking the seat being vacated by outgoing Councillor Dennis DiNapoli. Let's take a look.
School, one of the busiest precincts in the city. It is a lively crowd, and we're going to meet some candidates. Are you folks ready to meet some candidates?
Well, today I feel good. I feel confident. It's a beautiful day out. I think all my supporters are going to come out and vote for me and make me the next Ward 5 City Councilor. We hit the doors, we campaigned, we did the work. It's been 2 long years, and I didn't move. I haven't switched, and I'm ready to represent Ward 5. I think the difference between 2013 and 2015 is Dennis DiNapoli decided to retire, which is a good thing. I would have ran just as hard, and I probably would still be the Ward 5 councilor for 2016. But the difference is the momentum. The momentum's there. People know that I'm genuine. They know that I care about the city, and that I'm the right choice. Brockton needs representation. I think that the ward was missing representation. They were missing that key piece that they could call the city councilor and get answers and get things done. So I'm going to be that voice for them, and I'm going to be their representation. Yeah, I just want to tell them thank you for believing in me, and guess what? I got your back. Right, Kennedy?
Yep.
Say yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Joyce, how you doing?
Doing well.
All right, tell us about yourself.
I have actually lived in Ward 6 since 1983 and went to all Brockton public schools, went to Brookfield School, which is right behind me, and then went to North Junior High and Brockton High School. Lived here all my life, and I'm a paralegal, and I'm also a realtor. And
excellent, excellent. And why did you decide to run?
Actually, it's about time that I give back to my community. I was always busy focusing on my career. Right now, I'm at a place in my life where I can give back to Ward 6 and to the city of Brockton, and I thought it would be a great time to get involved. I've always been involved behind the scenes. For years, I've always worked with the elections, but, time to get in and make some change on my own and get involved.
What are you looking forward to as becoming a school committee member? What are you looking forward to most?
Definitely meeting a lot of the students, a lot of the parents. I definitely want to get out to the different schools, meet the principals, get involved and see what the teachers and what the principals and what the students and the families want. I want to hear what their complaints are and try to make a change. You know, I know it's not going to be an overnight change, but I definitely want to get out there and be their voice.
All right, Jack, it's been a long road, and we're finally here. How you feeling today, and what do you think about the experience?
Well, the experience was great. Like, I wouldn't trade that away. This has been informative and a lot of fun too. You know, I enjoyed it. I think I'm pretty hopeful. I'm optimistic for 8 o'clock when the votes come in. I think I'll do pretty well. You know, and win or lose, I hope to, you know, achieve my point. You know, if you want to see something fixed in the city, you can get out there and you can run. You know, you don't have to be of a certain class or a certain quality to run. I'm 18 years old and I'm running. Well, you know, it's a lot of stuff like intricacies into how things run, you know, who's who. I didn't know a lot of who's who before this. You know, some stuff I learned a lot more about what the people of Ward 6 want. You know, I've heard endless complaints of the roads. Pave the roads. It's a real big issue up here, you know.
How do you feel as far as with your opponent? I thought it was a very nice gesture that you're both having your campaign parties at Tinrays, and I think Mr. Foote reached out to you. Is that correct?
Yes, and on the night of the preliminary, after we got the results, Steve said, you know, I'm having my party at Tinrays, and if you wanna have your party there too, that'd be fine. I said, all right. You know, it's a good, and it's been a nice and civil campaign too. So I think it's really good to show that we're still one ward. You know, we're still on the same team. You know, we're just picking who's captain. That's it. I'd like to thank them. I'd like to thank my father, my campaign manager.
Hi.
Steve Lally.
Hi, America.
You know, it's certainly something I couldn't have done without him.
Steve, Ward 6 City Council race was probably the most spirited of all the races. Walk us through. You're here today. You put a lot of work into it. Walk us through what you're going through right now and all the hard work that you put into it.
Well, right now we're out holding signs with everybody. There's a lot of people on the line here because we got 3 polling places here. We did our homework. We identified our vote early in the race before we knew who was going to be in the final with us. And we've worked the plan and done all the door-to-door, which was the most important thing. We've done other things too, mailers, phone calls, but the door-to-door was the key, I think.
Mm-hmm. And back to 2013, what did you learn from that experience, and how has it helped you get to this point right now?
Well, in 2013, I won the ward, so that was good, and it got a chance for people to get to know me a little bit. So I was able to reinforce the voters that I had already talked to before in 2013, and meet a whole lot of new people along the way this time around.
It was pretty intense. How did you think the campaign on the other side and your side, how was it run?
Well, it was, you know, intense, but clean. I mean, there wasn't any real cheap shots going back and forth, and so that was good. And we had Tinrays booked for tonight for our after party, and it's the only real place in the ward where the political activity takes place. And Jack Lally wanted to book it too, but we already had it. And I said, well, why don't you know, in the interest of, you know, the whole community coming together at the end of it, I asked him, why don't you just come down and join us? And so he agreed. So we're all going to be at Tinrays tonight.
Finally, you've had a lot of people support you. You've been working really hard this campaign. Is there anything that you want to say to your supporters? You know, as this is going to be obviously broadcast live. So anything you want to say to the people that have really helped you out along the way?
Well, just thanks a lot for all the support from the people in the neighborhood. I got to meet and re-meet a lot of people I hadn't seen in a long time, and it's been a lot of fun going door to door and talking to folks. And I just want to thank everybody that voted for me, put out a lawn sign for us, talked us up. And it's been a great experience, and I'm glad I did it, and hopefully we'll prevail tonight.
And we're back here live in studio after we heard from all the different candidates out in the field. We heard from Senate candidate Mike Brady with Representative Cronin. We heard 4 of the 8 candidates for Councillor-At-Large, 3 challengers and 1 incumbent. And then we heard from Ward 5 City Council candidate Ollie Spears, Ward 6 candidates Steve Foote and Jack Lally, and Ward 6 School Committee candidate unopposed Joyce Asak. Thank you to Jay and my staff for their hard work out in the field. It takes a lot to get all of that together in one day with a small staff. So we're getting all sorts of information, but what I want to just remind all the viewers out there is we are reporting primarily Brockton. We do have some good information that the senator has from Hanover on the state senate race, and it ties into the whole race. We're not going to post those numbers up the screen because the numbers we're doing today are for Brockton, as this is Brockton Community Access. But Senator, tell us what you've learned on the phone from some of your good sources over in the town of Hanover.
Would you like those numbers?
Sure.
1,330 votes for Mr. Deal, 775 for Mike Brady. And I think what those numbers tell us is that I think when you looked at this race, we thought that those 6 towns east of the city would perhaps lean towards Deal because we looked at gubernatorial races, presidential races, and how those towns vote in those races, and they leaned Republican, notwithstanding the fact that previous senators who were Democrats won those areas. At the same time, a Republican governor like Bill Weld or a present governor were winning. So those numbers are somewhat telling. I think we had, Tom, did we have numbers from Easton?
Yes, the numbers we got from Easton were a smaller margin. We had 397 for Mike Brady, and we had 388 for Jeff Deal, a difference of 9. So like you said, with respect to the Hanover numbers, that's a difference of like 555 votes. We all expect, I would believe, Mike Brady to do extremely well here in Brockton. Mike's a very popular person, high visibility. So, for Jeff Deal to have a shot at this, he's going to have to really close the gap in Brockton. I mean, to me, he's going to have to get somewhere between 35 and 45%. I mean, and that's a tough road to hoe here in Brockton because of Mike's
Hanover numbers really reflect
popularity.
Those Hanover numbers really reflect what we saw in last year's race for the state rep race, where Representative Rhonda Nyman was upset, in the last minute there. So
I think Larry brings a very important point out: the changing demographics of these communities, and the fact that in this instance, and 2 years ago, there was a ton of PAC money, outside money, introduced into these races. And we're seeing it. I've never seen so much outside money in a local race as I have seen here. Unions, PACs, and previously we've had a lot of, a fellow ran against me one time, spent $144,000. But a lot of it wasn't what
For naught.
For naught.
For naught.
But the PAC money, the outside money now is, and there's a group
It's certainly influencing, because just even here in the city of Brockton, the number of mailings that I received at my house, where I have 5 registered voters from the Republican Party for supporting Representative Deal, was, pretty impressive from the standpoint of...
Funny you should mention that. I have a few pieces of mail that were either mailed or dropped off to the house, all in living color, which is expensive.
Mark, hold that up. Look at that. That's immense.
I get Brady, Teachers Union for Brady, SEIU for Brady, the rawdeal.org from the Mass Democratic Party, 2 of those, MTA again, SEIU. Then they dropped it at the door. Tom Siddell, Sue Nicastro, Bob Sullivan, the few from the mayor, and of course the infamous yellow card, Stop the Power. Deal was at my doorstep on Sunday, not himself personally, but Brady and Deal both hit Brockton, and all over the place. One of the most interesting pieces of literature I've ever seen. You have more money in your wallet due to one person with a replica of a $10 bill from Jeff Deal. So, and that's just part of it.
But I will say about the Brady campaign, because if you go back 7 years ago when I worked Mike Brady's campaign and he won that preliminary election with Connor Units and Bob Sullivan by 13 votes. Mike was out knocking on doors literally at 7:45, 7:50 up until the last 10 minutes of election. At 7 o'clock tonight, there was a knock at my door by representative of the Brady campaign to make sure that, as identified gold voters, we got out and voted. So Mike's hitting the pavement. He's doing the work.
And no one, if you know Mike, he doesn't have to tell you that. Looking at Mike, and I wish I had weighed him before the campaign. He's dropped, I bet, 15 pounds.
Oh, campaigns are great for that.
He's just gone door to door to door, round 24/7. 24/7. We used to entice him to a few BC football games in the fall. Not this time. Michael has sworn off everything.
Well,
but
I believe he'll be available this weekend.
He can make it this weekend. If you're listening, Michael,
he'll want to have a little fun this weekend. So I'm sure Mike Brady will hit you up on it.
Well, let me tell you, I think that as you go along, you just look forward to the day that it's all over, and then you have to play cleanup. You got to take down all the signs.
And I think a lot of politics today, and Tom alluded to it earlier, has been somewhat divisive. Looking back, and I go way back to 1968, Carl Norden was the Republican state rep from over in Whitman and East Bridgewater, and his voting record was pretty identical to Pete Aziaf, who represented the north side of the city. Both businessmen, both practical guys, not at all committed ideologues, just practical people. And you see fewer people like that getting elected. So,
yeah, I mean, out of Washington, it's very divided. I mean, it's sad when you think of it. It seems like people want to pit one group against the other instead of finding commonality, which we should do, and get things done. It's basically let's divide and conquer, and if we can't get it all our way, then we're not going to play ball. You're not going to get anything done that way. You got to find what you have in common, work on something together, get some good things done. You're always going to have differences. I mean,
absolutely.
Well, the real winners, because every candidate out there talks about economic development, the real winners are really the restaurants and the bars and the pub owners here in the city. Because if you go back to what's transpired over the last 4 months, we've had 31 candidates that chose to step forward and run for an elected office here. And each and every one of them had to hold a fundraiser somewhere along the city. And even tonight, the Brady campaign will be out at Doyle's Pub. The Carpenter campaign will be over at Joe Angelo's. The McMillan campaign will be at the Cape Cod Cafe. The Lally Foot challenge will be at Tin Ray's in Ward 6, and Ollie Spears will be down at Dillian. So I'm sure there are others that are going on. But the economic development, and you talk about the money spent on a campaign, Senator, here's another point.
Local infusion of cash, that's right.
And the print shops and the sign guys aren't doing too bad either.
Absolutely, they certainly are. Now, I did get some numbers from Tim Cruz, and let me tell you something, the sheer amount of races that are out there, let me just tell you what we're trying to do here. We have the state senate race, we have a mayor's race, we have a councillor-at-large race, and then we have Ward 1 City Council, Ward 3 City Council, Ward 5 City Council, Ward 6 City Council, 3 school committee, 4 school committee, and 7 school committee. So that's a lot of races. I did get a update from Tim Cruz, and this is his cell number, so I'm getting it from a good source. We're not going to post the numbers because we want to get the unofficial numbers from John McGarry, then they become official after they're certified. But basically the text I got says, I won 1365 to 977. Tim Cruz over Tom Siddell in Ward 1. 388 vote difference. I'm not particularly surprised by that margin because it was a very different campaign in Ward 1 this time around than last time around. If you guys recall, in Ward 1, it was a 54 vote margin. Okay, it was very close, very, very close. It was the 1 vote difference than the mayor's race the last time. So there were 4 very close races.
Tim said to me last time, what do you call a person who won by only 50 votes? I said, you call that person councillor.
Exactly, exactly. And, so I'm not going to predict it, I'm not going to make it official, I'm just going to
Interesting.
tell you what I got.
Yeah.
We're getting numbers from different people that are reliable sources. Larry has some information in Ward 6, in the mayor's race, in 3 of the 4 precincts,
In 3 of
correct?
the 4 precincts, this is the Brookfield School area up, and 3 of the 4 precincts, 6A, 6B, and 6D. Total combined votes has Mayor Carpenter unofficially at 851 votes, and challenger Chris McMillan at 736 votes. That's probably a little closer than I think the mayor's campaign would have liked to have seen. Ward 6 certainly came up very strong with the mayor in the primary as well as in the election in 2015. Matter of fact, Ward 6 was instrumental in pulling the mayor over the top for those 55 votes in 2013. So the mayor unofficially does take Ward 6 with 851 votes to 736.
Minus Ashfield.
Minus
It's
Ashfield.
just Brookfield.
Yeah, just
So we're going to be
minus the
looking for Ashfield School.
numbers. And 6B, yeah.
Some of the wards are fortunate, if you're a candidate, to have less ground to cover. In Ward 6, you get 3 of them at Brookfield and 1 at the Ashfield, and then in Ward 1, you have 2 at the Hancock. And
2
the
at
other,
West and 1 over in Holly Street.
Exactly. So, and I'm not sure if there's others in the city that are double precincts or not. I can't.
East Junior High used to be
Yeah.
B and C, yeah.
We're waiting for numbers. It's very interesting because you got 2 ballots. That's what I think is going to delay things a little bit tonight.
Yeah, we wanted to watch, when you went into the polling place, how the John McGarry's folks would deal with the issue. And when you go in, you declare who you are, they locate you, then the next person hands you the ballot. And the person said, there are 2 elections, would you like each ballot? So they were quite clear about it, did a nice job.
I agree
John's
with that.
people did a very nice
It was
job.
one of the questions we had when we were back here in the primary was, were they going to be handing both ballots to the voters as they came in, or were you going to have to request?
And the warden was right there watching the whole thing,
Right.
so did a nice job.
They did really good, yeah.
Tom, you want to say anything about what you got? I mean, we're...
Well, I mean, I have no numbers. I just have someone that's out in the field that just told me some information about certain candidates winning, but I don't have numbers to back it up. I mean, do you want me to read what I have, or don't you? I don't want to...
I think we want to get a little bit more confirmation. It's just hard. It's, it's frustrating. We're not tied into a computer. There's 28 precincts in Brockton, okay? And what happens is each one of those voting machines has a module. At the end of the election, when they close the polls, that module, there's a printout, looks like a cash register tape. It's posted at the precinct, okay? In some cases, when you have three are posted there. Somebody sent me one of the tapes, took a picture of it, and it's blurry, so I can't really read it. But that's just one precinct, and we can't really do precinct by precinct. It takes a lot of time.
It's going to be
do that.
interesting, Mark. As you know, both ballots went into the same ballot box.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting to see which election drew the most votes. Because on the front of the ballot box, it gave you total ballots, but it didn't break down how many state ballots, how many local ballots.
Larry has numbers which could be divided by 2.
Well-
But Larry, as I'll give it to Larry as someone who does finances and accounting and is our treasurer for the Democratic City Committee. He did some numbers. We have 6 o'clock numbers from John McGarry.
Well, no wonder
As
your
of-
bank account's always in the red.
No, it's always in the black. 28% turnout. As of 6
o'clock,
Okay,
yeah, right, as of
sure
6
it's higher
o'clock,
than
yeah.
that. So Larry, tell us what we have.
Well, as of 28% turnout, when you measure that across the city-wide vote, that's just around 12,868 voters that have been to the polls, taking the total number of ballots and dividing by 2, assuming half a state, half a city. And if you had 12,868 voters out there at 6 o'clock, then when you compare that to kind of the last 2 elections, when you go back to the casino vote, where we had 14,400 voters that came out, and that was about 31% of the voting population. You go back to the 2013 mayoral election between Mayor Carpenter and current Mayor Carpenter and former Mayor Belzotti. There was, again, 14,400
Yes,
votes in
yeah.
that election as well. So if this, 12,868 at 6 o'clock holds up, we're probably going to see closer to 35, 36% turnout, which may take us closer into something in the area of probably around, probably 15,000 voters coming out in that regards.
So
What's
I have
that
some
total,
numbers from
45,000?
46,000, just over 46,000.
I do have some numbers from Halifax
Oh.
with respect to the Brady Deal race.
Okay.
Jeff Deal, 592. Mike Brady, 288.
And how many votes did that third candidate get?
I don't have the number.
No one's given.
No one's given me numbers on the third candidate.
So that's a difference of, get out the good old calculator here.
41.
304.
I just got a note.
304.
41 for Raddick in
41?
Halifax. 41.
Okay. But it's 304 is the difference. So far, we're looking at 3 towns, Hanover by a wider margin, Halifax by, a good margin, and Easton by 9 votes. That's why I tell everybody,
See, that's,
every vote counts.
what's key here is Deal's seat encompasses East Bridgewater and Whitman and Abington.
Right.
And in this district, it's only Whitman and East Bridgewater. But as Larry pointed out, the Hanover vote was about 2 to 1, and this one in Halifax was about 2 to 1.
The thing to keep in mind, as we saw in the preliminary election here, particularly with the primary of the Democratic side, was that Mike Brady took 87% of the Democratic vote. And at this point in time, there's no reason Mike Brady can't pull 70% of that vote in this city today.
I think you're right.
And I think that's going to
I think you're right.
swamp the Republican
Right.
numbers.
Yes,
When we see the final numbers coming in. Because, and the more voters that we see coming out here right now are just going to probably help not only the Brady campaign for Senate, but even the mayor's race as well.
You can likely assume that in Whitman, even though the numbers certainly don't match Brockton, that Jeff Deal should take that overwhelmingly.
I would think so.
Well,
that seat, which for years has been East Bridgewater, Whitman, Abington, has gone. John Buckley Sr. had the seat for years, and then Emmett Hayes held it, and he was defeated by great getting old, good friend of mine, Republican defeated him, and then Alan McCarthy won it, and then Deal beat Alan.
Exactly.
So that seat's gone back and forth over the years. Emmett Hayes.
I'm getting information about 6, but I don't have concrete information in the city council race.
We're missing one precinct, are we, Mark?
One precinct for the mayor's race.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Lally Foot race, but I really would rather get the numbers and post them up on the screen. That piece on Channel 4 may have done a lot of good for the younger of the 2 candidates. I'll leave it at that at the moment, and people can read between the lines. I'm also getting information. It's funny, you have Facebook friends, if you're like me, and you got a whole bunch of them, and I'm getting information in the Ward 7 school committee race. I felt, Larry and I were talking before and a little bit with Tom, that I felt that race was going to be a very close race.
I agree.
And it could be an upset for the incumbent that's there from the former member that held the seat. I originally felt that the city council race in Ward 6, those are the 2 races, obviously to watch that are interesting. You got a new candidates, both new candidates over in Ward 4 with, I'm going to say Brett Gormley. Got to remember it's not Archie, no relation to Archie, and Milton Montero. So we're waiting for that. Ward 3, I haven't heard anything from yet. But everybody wants to send you a Facebook instant message, and I don't consider that official source.
No.
Okay.
No.
If it's a council like Tim, I talked to some of the different councilors. I'm waiting for some information from Ward 5, from the former councilor, Dennis DiNapoli. Mary Waldron's out there. Everybody's got a cell phone,
And we all-
everybody's got a Facebook.
Those of us who are junkies will never forget the race. Some of you weren't born, but Dewey Truman, and all the newspapers had their headlines that Dewey had won. And my father tells me the chant was, Dewey, it'll be Dewey today and Dewey tomorrow. And of course, tomorrow was Harry S. Truman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have some Whitman numbers.
Well,
Okay.
that'll be interesting.
Let's see.
Tommy, shoot.
Whitman, 1930, Jeff Deal, 727, Mike Brady.
And that's not a surprise. 727, you said?
727.
Okay.
1,200 votes.
Did you get a picture too, Larry, from one of the wards?
I have pictures from the Brady campaign, and
Can you read them?
yeah, that's why I took my glasses off. In Ward 1, from what I've looked at real quick, Mike Brady, 1,898 votes.
That's huge.
And very quickly, if I'm looking at these numbers correctly, I wish they would have focused in on them a little better.
Well, it's really hard on a cell phone. The smaller they are, it's amazing how at home you could have a huge television set, 52 inches, 48 inches, the big TVs, and then at the end it's all reduced to a cell phone the size of a postage stamp.
It looks no more than 600 votes in Ward 1 for Deal, so that's a 3 to 1.
So if you look at Hanover, Halifax, and Easton, the vote, that's Deal had 1,516. Brady can wipe that out on one ward in the city.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, that's basically what he's done in Ward 1
The
already.
margin in
Yeah.
Whitman with Deal
Yeah.
over Brady was
And
1,200.
that's
Yeah.
the margin was
I can't imagine he's going to do any better in any other town
15.
than Whitman.
No, he won't. He won't.
I thought, like I said, Hanover, Ronna Nyman, former representative, was really working for him. She's a good friend of Mike
See,
Brady.
I'm forgetting the
and
name,
served
Mark, of that PAC, but...
the Fiscal Alliance, the Massachusetts
Yes.
Fiscal Alliance?
Yeah, they were heavily involved in that campaign, and they almost defeated the Barnstable representative, a fellow by the name of Manal. They put out something like 9 of those big cards that you showed earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They sure did, and that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
This whole outside money thing
Huge,
that's in politics
huge.
is...
Never existed before in local politics.
No, you had the flyers.
Right.
You had the infamous flyer in your race with the cartoon on the side.
Right, oh yeah.
One of my favorites of all time, Senator.
In Ward 3, Ward 2 actually, which is the home ward of Mike Brady where he lives, 3 out of the 4 precincts have been reported according to the Brady unofficial numbers. And we're looking at 956 for Brady, 304 for Deal. Okay. So, I mean, Mike's certainly, pulling ahead 2 to 1, as Senator, you just pointed out.
Wipes them out in one ward.
Wipes them out in one ward,
I'm trying to read my cell phone, and it's not...
I just got a polling receipt from, it doesn't say which precinct in Ward 3, but whichever one this is, it has Mark D'Agostino with 494 votes and Blessing Rogers with 222.
222, you said?
Yes. Also, that whichever precinct this is, in Ward 3, it has Dennis Ianieri with 579 and Marlon Green with 132.
Okay.
It has Michael Brady with 525 and Jeff Deal with 250 and Anna Raddick with 16.
That's Ward 3D.
I don't know which...
It's Ward 3D. I've got the Brady numbers here that you just...
Ward 3D.
Ward 3D.
I know it says 3, but they didn't...
Do you have the
doesn't say
mayor's
which
numbers
one.
in there?
Yes, I do. Interestingly enough, Bill Carpenter received 338 and Chris McMillan received 434. With 2 write-ins for the senator.
For the senator?
For the senator.
For the-
2 write-ins, I'm sure they were for you.
For me?
I'm sure they were.
I think he's busting them.
I hope they're still around when I'm running for re-election as clerk of the Superior Court in the year 2068.
The ward, 3 numbers for the Senate race has Mike Brady at 1,812 and Rep. Deal at 659.
Is that just that 1%?
That's just the, no, that's the ward.
That's the whole
That's the
ward.
whole ward.
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
whole ward, yeah.
So, you know, Brockton, 75% of the district, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and Brockton, as we know, one of the things I was concerned about in that election is, in the past in the county, if Brockton didn't show up, but that's 27 communities.
Right.
Okay, Brockton's the only city. When Brockton doesn't show up to vote for county commissioner or DA or register of probate or whatever race it is, then the person from Brockton doesn't always prevail.
Now I have the overall Brockton number for Brady Deal.
Overall Brockton?
That's what I'm being told. I have an overall number for the entire city.
Okay, well, let's take a stab
Let's
at
see
it.
how accurate it is. 11,193 for Mike Brady. 3,594 for Jeff Deal.
Okay.
Sayonara.
Well, we still, how many towns do we have? 1, 2, 3,
6
4.
towns in the east and a couple
So
of
we have
precincts in
4 of
Easton.
the 6,
Yeah.
Easton being one of them. And
I also have the summary report from the city of Brockton.
you have the summary report?
It says State City Election, Brockton, Mass.
Okay.
Election Summary Report. It says,
We have numbers behind us. Okay?
there you go, that's the number I had.
The 1-1,
Then it also has...
1-1-193. Jeff Deal is the 3594, and Anna Raddock is 506.
Would you like the mayor's numbers?
Do we,
I have it.
not yet. We're typing them as we speak.
Oh,
So-
sure, you don't want me to get the glory for telling you the
Well, I'll
numbers.
let you read it when we have them up. We're
Sure,
trying to,
okay,
people have
yep.
complained to us that they want to see it and hear it at the same time, so it gets a little confusing when you're doing the numbers. But that 11193, I don't know if Larry's added up the 4 towns that we already have
I
with
have not
with the
done that,
deal.
no.
Okay, Brady, but that is obviously a significant number for Brockton.
Right, because if you take Whitman and Hanover,
That's
those
the
are...
number I
six-
have. 8,422 for Bill Carpenter, 6,729 for Christopher McMillan.
Okay, so...
Mayor Carpenter wins substantially.
Okay. 8422 to 6729, so we know where the party's going to be tonight.
Certainly a much wider margin than the last election, which was a close election between
What
Bill
was that,
Carpenter.
55 votes?
Yep.
55 votes, exactly.
So that's going to make the Carpenter camp feel very good.
That's
You know.
a 1,693 vote margin. When it was 2 years ago, it was 55
Right.
votes.
55, yeah.
Mhm.
And on the Brady race, when you added up Deal's margin of victory in Hanover and Whitman and Easton, it was 1,516 votes. So he didn't have any big towns to come in thereafter. And Brady's in Brockton was 7,599, so you can see.
Right.
And the total mayoral vote was 15,151 votes, as we were anticipating.
Right, yeah.
15,000...
151.
Yep.
151. That sounds like a number you might want to play.
They
All the 15151 sounds...
I also
sounds
have the
like-
numbers for Councillor-At-Large.
Okay, but that is 8 candidates, so I think they're typing
Well, I have
them
the,
in.
I have the four highest.
The 4 highest? Okay.
Yeah.
We can talk about the 4 winners. Let's not do the numbers specifically, unless the 4th and the 5th are close. Okay, let's...
I don't know about the 5th, so I
Okay.
only have the...
So tell us the top 4.
Okay.
They're right behind us, okay?
Bob Sullivan, that's what I had.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tom.
Moses Rodriguez, 2nd. Shayna Barnes, 3rd. And Winthrop Farwell, 4th.
Which is exactly what I thought actually was going to happen. Then Susan DeCastro would be 5th with 4,644. Craig Pina, 3,904. Thaddeus Pierre, 3,134. And Gary Keith, 2375.
What was Farwell?
Farwell was fourth. If,
Right, but do you get the number?
if we could put back the Farwell number, we can take a look at...
Like 4,900,
I think it was
4,760.
4760. Okay? So that's a ballot order thing, folks. I mean, even though Sullivan is third on the ballot, he's always been number one on the votes, okay? Second would be Moses, third would be Shayna, and fourth would be Win Farwell. And when Win Farwell was in this studio debating, he got up here and he was very calm and cool and collected. He talked about being a school committee member for 10 years, a mayor for 4, and he was ready to serve on day one as a city councilor. So he effectively convinced the electorate of that. Can we go to the other page?
So he prevailed by 116 votes.
That's what it looks like. So
Over
the
the
next
fifth person.
The next one after that would have been Susan
Susan
Nicastro. Yeah, he's going to take one. If we can go back to the other total for City Councillor-at-Large, I just want to see the Susan Nicastro number. If we could post that up on the screen, please.
4,644.
Let's take a look at that if we could, please. City Councillor-at-Large, those are the 4 top vote getters. Susan Nicastro, 4644. I think your math
So 116 votes separate 4 and 5.
Which is why every vote counts. Okay? So that's probably a partial referendum, too, on the big issue dealing with the power plant. Okay? You had Susan Nicastro, vice chair of the planning board, very, very against the power plant. And when the yellow postcard went out...
She and Farwell were both endorsed on the yellow postcard.
No, Farwell wasn't.
Was not.
Susan was, Moses was, Robert Sullivan was, and they endorsed Tom Sedell, they endorsed McMillan.
Oh,
It was
Farwell
a
was not.
very... No, he was not.
Farwell, when he was on your show,
Yeah,
his comments were negative on the power plant.
right, right.
So and then in the Enterprise, he and Nicastro, I think, were in agreement on everything, except there was one. What was the last issue? What do you think the big issue in Brockton is? She might have been.
Well, crime.
Crime's a big issue in
Crime,
Brockton.
desal.
I think Wynn might have put crime down.
Yes.
And she had something
On the survey that
yeah,
you're talking about that was
survey,
printed
yeah.
in the Enterprise.
Yeah.
So,
So Bobby Sullivan clearly way ahead of everybody.
Yes.
And then
As he has shown.
we have Ward 1 numbers for Tim Cruz and Tom Sedell, and I believe those were the numbers.
And those
that
were
I
only, were they
read.
55 votes last time or 50?
54.
54
votes.
That's right,
So
yeah.
Tim Cruz, 1,365. Tom Sedell, 977. Okay, we'll go down any other totals we have, but I am not surprised by that. My Ward 1 colleagues, are you? The Sedell, Cruz numbers?
I saw Tim Cruz working a lot harder this year, and you know, from what I gather in Ward 1, Tom Sedell, you know, made an effort, but certainly not like he did last year. You know, it was definitely a close race last year, but you saw Tom Sedell everywhere last year. I didn't see
Tommy, I
Tom
think you're
Sedell.
right, yeah.
I didn't see Tom Sedell out like he was last year.
There was no
I saw
real
some signs,
concerted effort.
but
And there was no debate. There was 2 years ago. We have Council Ward 3 numbers. Larry, you want to take those for me?
Obviously, Councillor Dennis Ianieri is re-elected at 1,731 votes against challenger Marlon Green at 488 votes. And here's a particular opportunity where one of our minority candidates has stepped forward over there in Ward 3. And Marlon had an opportunity to speak before at the Sullivan Breakfast, the Democratic City Committee Sullivan Breakfast. And he really presented himself very, very positively. And I don't think we're going to hear the last of Marlon Green out there.
No, he was well-spoken, and, you know, Dennis is a 12-year veteran, city council president,
President
someone
this year,
that's 20 years on the school committee. So I'm not surprised over there. I do think Marlon Green is someone, I thought he gave a very good speech at the Democratic
Yes.
City Committee
I'm
breakfast.
going
Tom,
to
you
tell
didn't
no
vote for
votes,
yourself?
huh? No
Uh-oh.
votes.
Uh-oh.
Wow. Geez, thanks.
have a
Come
recall?
on, we needed the 98.7.
Wow,
Okay.
thanks a lot.
Okay.
What a joke.
Tom, you forgot to vote.
I do have some vote numbers for the school committee races, if you want them.
I do, but I don't know what we have
Do we
in
have a vote
in the
Ward
works.
5 yet?
Ward 5?
No.
No, I got unofficial votes in Ward 5. Let's, we keep putting up that Ward 1 number, so let's keep it off if we can, because we don't have any numbers in there. I don't know if we have Ward 5, that would be the next race. Ward 4 is unopposed with Paul Studensky.
Is this someone's idea of a joke, putting my zeros to triple?
I don't know. Tom, if you notice, I'm staying remarkably calm because I don't want to upset anybody.
Talk to that statistician.
We have the flag in the back. There's nothing better than the flag. We'll get some more. We'll get some more numbers. I've heard some unofficial.
I think if you go back to the Carpenter vote, I mean, you know, if you really recall back in 2013, you know, the mayor won by 55 votes, which was less than 1/2% of the vote. You know, he's taken 56% of the vote this time around. So, you know, substantially, you know, he's gotten his message out there to the voters.
I thought he had some terrific TV ads, if you saw those.
Absolutely.
Very, very well done.
In TV ads, I mean, when you have a TV ad in the middle of a Patriots game or the middle of a presidential debate, people are going to take notice for that. That takes money to do.
Right.
Okay, and money, all of this stuff costs money. The signs cost money. The bumper stickers cost money. Everything costs money.
There's no question about that. And, you know, the job the mayor has done, I don't think there's anybody that has been working as hard as the mayor has in the last 22 months, really, that he's been in office. He's almost everywhere across the city, you know, and, you know, you know, I'm a Democrat, but I support Mayor Carpenter's initiatives that have been going on. He's an unenrolled, you know, professional. In the city elections, you don't need to be Democratic or Republican. It's just the top 2 vote getters. Ultimately,
It's very difficult to run against a mayor who's only had 1 term.
Yeah.
Usually it's getting past the second term.
That's the more difficult
The more
stuff. That's
difficult one,
correct.
because the last 2 previous mayors didn't do that.
And a lot of it depends on how much local aid you get from Boston. Jack Units was very fortunate. He was mayor during some very good fiscal times. And the money was rolling in from the state.
I think the name of the game with regard to this mayor is to try to bring in business, try to bring in new sources of revenue, and that's why he's so adamant on not spending more money on fighting the power plant and spending, you know, over $1 million in legal fees, and, you know, really wants to utilize that revenue with respect to the, you know, income and benefits it could provide the city. And obviously the casino would certainly benefit the city in a large way if those revenues would be generated. So.
Okay. We're awaiting other numbers. I understand the results in 7 school committee are fairly close. Is that what you're trying to refer to, Tom?
Yeah.
We don't have the numbers to post up on the screen, but
Tom, you were saying those numbers are close?
Very close, very close. I mean, the unofficial...
technical issue.
Okay.
The unofficial numbers that I have, you know, are in approximately, you know, 30 votes, 30 vote difference, if accurate.
I'm going to move off set for a minute, and I'm going to talk to a newly elected official who Jay has given me a cue as to who it is, because I haven't met her yet, so I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to let you guys carry this, and I'm going to go over to the other set. Live TV is fun, folks.
There you go. You disconnected your mic. You don't want to hang yourself on the way over there.
Well, I would like to welcome in studio, we'll meet her in a moment, but Lisa Plant, who will be serving with me on the school committee for Ward 2. Ward 2 the seat is being vacated by Andy Robinson, who's done a fine job on the school committee. Andy has a background in education, He's a Midwestern guy. The only fault I find with Andy is that he's a big Packers fan, okay? But he's done a great job on the school committee, and I know that he thinks very highly of the person taking over, Lisa Plant, who we will soon meet on camera. And Lisa's been very active in the city, a parent of of a couple, actually, I think 3 children in the Brockton Public Schools, and very active in the PTAs and volunteerism, so she's going to be a great addition to the school committee, and I look forward to working with you, Lisa.
Welcome, and Mark, take it away.
Okay, we are sitting over here on the other set with a new face, to me anyway. Lisa Plant, welcome.
Nice to meet
Thanks
you.
for
I know
coming
your
down.
face.
Yeah, I'm on TV a little bit at election time. Ward 2, Andy Robinson just vacated the seat. He's
Yes.
spending more time with his family, beautiful daughter that I
You
can
just
see
put
on
5 on
Facebook.
there.
Yeah.
You're very active in Ward 2.
Yes, I am.
Tell us about it.
Well, I live just a few houses down from Andy. I've been there for about 5 years. Before that, I lived in Tom Minicello's ward, actually. So I know him from that. I've lived in the city of Brockton since 1988. I have 3 girls, my oldest being 22. They've all gone through the Angelo School. My oldest is in college now. She went through West Junior High, Brockton High School. I have a 15-year-old at Brockton High School. My 9-year-old is at the Angelo School. And I'm just a strong advocate. I love our schools. I support our schools. I love our city. And I'm very proud to be serving.
And
in this
you've been
position.
very active so far in like some of the parent-teacher organizations and
I was-
PTOs, PTAs, whatever you call them nowadays.
Yep, I was very involved at the PAC, then PTA over at the Angelo School. I was the PAC president over at West Junior High. I served on the school advisory council in, I believe, the Angelo School. I have 3 girls, so it's like I've been involved for so long. It's you know, it's been a while, but I've always been involved with the parent advisory councils at their schools, and I'm just happy to be doing it on a new level now.
What do you see as something you want to get involved with and help with? Any new ideas that you might have? The school committee is going to change a few faces, Ward 2,
Yes.
Ward 6, and we'll see what happens in the other races. We don't have hard numbers yet, but any new ideas or thoughts?
Well, I need to get my foot in the door first. I need to see what the issues are. I have been attending the school committee meetings and trying to educate myself on what our issues are right now. I think our biggest challenge is the budget. I don't know in which way I can help improve that, but I know I'm going to have to make some tough decisions on what programs are funded and just do my best with what we're given. Unfortunately, it's the situation we're in.
Well, the good news is we have a wonderful school system that has excellent faculty and staff. It's award-winning. We do well on all the different scores. It's kind of a seamless system, and there's going to be a lot of things. Quick question to ask you, and then we'll kick it back to our folks on the set, is School Committee City is contemplating a lawsuit to have the city properly funded. It all started in Brockton with ed reform,
Yes.
going way back to Webby versus Board of Education, and it changed to Hancock and McDuffie, a few in between. Do you think it's a good idea to challenge the state to fund Brockton properly?
I do. We need the funding, and I fully support challenging it.
Okay, and we'll be talking, I'm sure you get to talk about charter schools and a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh,
So
yes, lots to learn.
Just understand one way you can be in communication with your constituents is to utilize cable TV, so you're welcome here anytime.
Thank you, and I'd like to thank everybody who did go out today and did vote for me.
Well, thanks very much, Lisa.
Thank you.
We're going to kick it back to the set, and I saw some numbers going up on the screen, and I'll give it to Larry to take it away.
Thank you, Mark, and Lisa, congratulations and best of luck working with our school committee and watching out for the safety of all of our children out there in the city. Thank you. So, Jay, do we have numbers coming up yet? A little bit more, we'll turn around, and we have, obviously, City Council Ward 2, unopposed, sitting City Council Tom Monahan, 954 votes. Ward 1, Tom Minicello.
That's a little
Now,
better, isn't it? That makes me
that's
feel a little better. At least I know my wife voted for me and a couple of my friends. That's good.
1,874 of them.
Yeah, it makes me feel a little better.
Over there in Ward 1. That's fantastic. All right. See, I like the zeros better, no. But,
Yeah, sure. Nice guy.
Congratulations again.
And this was a
You know.
nonpartisan guy, huh?
Exactly. What else do we have up here for our viewers to see? Oh, look at that. They put you back.
Oh, boy.
There you go.
Trying to make you feel
There
better.
you go.
I think it is a joke.
Uh-oh. Here's an upset in
Mark,
the
did you see
making.
this? One
Mark,
vote.
look
One
at this.
vote.
Oh, geez.
Who says your vote doesn't count?
Oh, my goodness.
See if we can call Larry McCavan up in
Ward
Newburyport.
5, city council race.
One
He'd be stunned
Well,
by
I
one.
guess it's recount 2 for Ollie Spears.
Wow.
One vote.
Ann Beauregard,
Wow.
962 to
One
Ollie
vote.
J. Spears, 961. One vote margin. Certainly enough for a recount, but what does that tell you out there?
It tells
Yeah.
me that we had an election years ago where an incumbent lost and found out that one of his own children forgot to go out and vote by one vote, I believe it
Yes,
was, or
yes,
very
yeah.
close.
This is
Wow. That's all I can
This
say
is
on that
headline.
one.
This is headline news.
We get Tom
No-
back up
no
there
question.
again.
Did we
So-
get the Ward
okay,
6
here's
numbers
the Ward
yet?
6 right here.
All right.
Larry, I'm giving it to you because you're a Ward 6 guy.
Well, this is not really a surprising turnout, in all honesty. We saw during the primary election, there was a three-way race with Steve Foote, Jack Lally, and John Drasinkis, where John Lally, who is a recent graduate of Spelman High School and now a freshman over at Massasoit, actually topped the ticket in the primary. It was by about 23, 24 votes, if I recall correctly. And what we've seen in Ward 6 is a groundswell of support for young Jack Lally, or John Lally here, as he went around door to door, introducing himself to the residents, letting them know what his passion is in becoming the representative for Ward 6. And quite honestly, this is a case of probably a young man introducing himself out there to the residents in Ward 6, and those residents taking a liking and maybe a little bit of frustration on the part of, where our electoral system has been.
Well,
for a
I mean,
while.
I think young John Lally, Jack Lally, makes a good impression on people, and he's very honest, and he's very enthusiastic and energetic, and I think people want a fresh start in certain circumstances, and he certainly is riding that wave, and it's going to be interesting and fun to watch.
Well, it's certainly, if you look at Wards 5 and 6 tonight, with the one-vote victory by Ann Beauregard, and here we see a young 18-year-old high school graduate upsetting, the field, so to speak, in Ward 6. We've got some waves of change coming on in the city of Brockton as well. And I understand current city councillor-at-large, Shana Barnes, has come into the studio. And Mark, do we want to go over to you?
Absolutely. Welcome, Councilor. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen.
I know you worked hard. You were out there knocking on doors, walking, talking to people. What was the feeling you got today? I saw you over at West Junior High, and I'm sure you were all throughout the city.
Right. It wasn't just today. It was just throughout the entire re-election campaign. Since I had my kickoff back in June, the atmosphere and the feedback has been really nothing but positive. And the residents, they tell me that they watched the meetings on TV, and they were impressed by things that I had to say, and that I was speaking what they would like to say if given the chance. So I feel that I'm doing the job that I swore to do 2 years ago, and that was to bring the voice of the constituents to the chamber.
Well, I know one thing we're going to get to work on is the project that you have in the
Yay,
works.
yes.
A dog park.
Yes, and actually I met with George over at Hawkeye today. So it's definitely going to go through. I never realized how long it takes, even something as small, as a dog park. You just kind of think you can just take a piece of land and put it together. I've been meeting with legal. I have to meet with the animal control, licensing, and again, just some logistical things at the school and logistics to get it done. And it has taken this long, just something that small. I'm learning. And, the bigger things that the constituents have issues with, they definitely take time, and I'm learning. I'm just learning, still learning.
Term 2.
Okay.
What is in the cards for Shana Barnes, the city of Brockton? What issues do you want to work on, continue to work on? Right. What are your priorities?
Well, one of the bigger initiatives and the leadership initiative that I want to take is definitely trying to get into place, and
If it happens in that time, that would be great, but definitely getting my City Hall to go idea off the ground. And like I said, I have been working with some other city officials on getting some of the computer software, securing the van, and some of the projects and the services that I would like to see available in there, and just working out that program. So that's something I've actually started to talk to some folks on. And actually, one thing too that actually came up during this cycle, looking at the form of government that Brockton currently works under.
Right.
And I was actually talking with our city clerk last year about looking into that, and he and I have actually been working on that as well. So that's something that I want to maybe start an initiative on, and kind of following what the mayor is saying by looking at the charter, looking at the constitution of the city to find out what kind of form of government, if we need to change it, would be appropriate for what the demographic we have now. So
Certainly some discussion about the
Right.
length of the terms,
Right.
because it seems like one election's over, the next election starts.
right around the corner.
Someone leaves office, you end up with a special election. It always seems like the day one election's over,
Right.
here we go again.
Right. And I mean, there really isn't a lot, I mean, and you know this, and there really isn't a lot of time in between to kind of see an idea flourish and to even develop an idea. It takes a long time, especially when it will affect 100,000 people. So,
What would you like to say to the voters and your constituents of Brockton?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having confidence in me. Thank you for displaying that confidence and making your voices heard at the polls. It's always, it does my heart really, really a lot of joy when I see people taking hold of democracy and taking hold of their voice. And everybody says, if you don't vote, you can't complain. And that is 100% true. But, almost 34% of the residents of Brockton voted, and they made their voice very clear. And I want to thank them. And, the results are the results for all the other races. And I know you all will be talking about that. There are some really controversial results out there. And I can't wait for the dust to settle and to see everyone in January. And thank you. Thank you for believing in me.
Thank you, Shana, and thank you for your service, and onward and upward.
Yeah, we're going on.
Cool.
Going on.
Cool. I'm going to kick it back over to us. We have some more numbers over there, and Larry, take it away.
Shana, congratulations again, and congratulations, you'll be working with the new city councillor-at-large, Wynn Fowle, former mayor of Brockton back 20 years ago.
Well, I think it only appropriate that I announce school committee.
By all means, Tom.
School committee in Ward 3, Mark D'Agostino coming in at 1461 versus Blessing Rogers at 801. As we all know, Mark ran last election cycle and lost by a handful of votes. And this time he was obviously out there. I know he's been attending many school committee meetings, been attending the PTA meetings, and obviously, I saw him working extremely hard, and our congratulations go out to both candidates, but Mark will be joining us on the school committee this year, come January.
And do we have any other numbers coming in at this time?
Alicia Clark is departing from the school committee.
Okay.
That's the seat that Mark will be taking over. Alicia has done a nice job. She does a lot with organizations dealing with children in special needs. She's been a great addition. Her perspective on the school committee has been very good for all of us, and we, again, will miss her.
And Senator, can you read those numbers on the Senate race?
Final totals in Brockton: Michael Brady, 11,193. Representative Jeff Deal, 3,594. And Anna Grace Raddick, 506.
I think it's safe to say Mr. Brady might want to have a little fun this weekend with you at a football game.
I think he
Senator.
can finally go to a BC football game.
Yeah.
And as we see in the mayor's race, incumbent Mayor Bill Carpenter, 8,422 votes, to challenger Christopher McMillan at 6,729 votes. Certainly a much larger margin of victory for the mayor this time around than we saw 2 years ago.
Just recapping the numbers in the city councillor-at-large race, we just heard from councillor-elect again, Shana Barnes. She had 5,607 votes. Moses Rodriguez, 5,892 votes. Robert Sullivan, again, topping the ticket, 8,177 votes. And congratulations go out to former school committee member, former mayor, and now councillor-at-large Wyntham Farwell, 4,760 votes. followed by Susan Nicastro, 4644. Gary, Craig Pena, 3,904. Adius Pierre, 3,134. And Gary Keith, 2,375. So as I was going back and forth to sets, we've gone over a lot of the numbers. Tim Cruz, our Ward 1 councillor, being re-elected easily, 1,365 votes to Tom Siddell's 977 votes. Running down, we have Tom Minicello with a landslide victory of 1,874 votes, no zeros for Tom. Tom Monahan, re-elected unopposed, 954 votes. Put back to that zero. I don't know. That number keeps coming up. We'll take a look at Dennis.
It's going to be a Democrat.
Dennis Ianieri, 1,731, re-elected over Marlon Green, 488 votes. We will take a look at, we have Ward 3 School Committee, which you guys went over. Mark D'Agostino over Blessing Rogers, 1,461 votes to Blessing's 801 votes. Ward 4 City Councilor Paul Studensky, re-elected, no opposition, 1,511 votes. The Ward 4 School Committee race, I don't think we have it yet. Okay.
I do, but you don't want me to say
We have it, but we don't have the numbers. We have the one-vote election, and I'm going to go back to that 1981 election, Senator, and he or she, who, in that case it was two he's, who had the better lawyer won. I know it was a recount, but Bill Galvin, the Secretary of Commonwealth now, was the attorney, if I'm not mistaken, for Paul Studensky.
Yep.
Okay, so that's a one-vote victory in Ward 1. That's an automatic recount. There is no question about that. It's less than half of 1% that triggers the automatic recount. So we will wait to see what the story and chapter and verse is on that. Do we? I know you guys went over the Ward 6 numbers for City Councilor, and it was Jack Lally. We did invite him down, and Steve Foote, whoever wanted to come. 1,209 votes, Steve Foote, 847 votes. I know it was a hard-fought campaign from day one on all three of the candidates' behalves, and it was down to two in the end. I'll tell you that power of the media as well, besides the power of hard work. That little story there. I said it was going to be the story of the election. You and I talked about that day one, Larry. Have we seen Ward 7 numbers yet at all? I know Shirley Azak is unopposed in Ward 7.
We have not seen
we don't have the
the
school committee numbers
yet.
Tom, give us a preview, even if we don't have the numbers.
Well,
it seems like what I got on my phone was an upset.
The information I have is that Tim Sullivan has carried the day with 31 votes, so it's a close race.
31 votes. So that's a la Ward 3 last time, which was 29 votes with Alicia Clark over Mark D'Agostino 2 years ago. You know, we will wait and see that.
And then I also have a vote count in Ward 4 where there's a much larger gap.
Okay, Ward 4. So we're waiting on Ward 4 School Committee.
Do you want me to tell
Ward
you, or
7
would you like
School
the information
Committee.
or no?
Give me the info. We're going to get it up and post it.
The information I have is that Brett Gormley wins, and it's close to 500 votes.
Okay, well that 500. That's
500 plus.
What was interesting about Ward 4
over Nilsen Montero.
I got a chance to bring. There wasn't much of a chance for school committee candidates to get out and really talk among people other than at PAC meetings and be face-to-face. We had them all on TV. We had all the different races in both the preliminary and the general election, and both Brett Gormley and Nilsen Montero, very classy folks. They ran a very clean campaign. I was looking at Ward 4, where Ward 4 has a fairly significant Cape Verdean community, and Nilton was very good friends with Moses Rodriguez, and Moses supported him big time over there. Very nice guy. Showed you his card.
Well, I think in order to be successful with regard to a school committee race, you have to be where the parents are, and you have to attend PTA meetings. You have to attend sporting events. You have to, to me, the person who's more involved with youth sports, youth activities, and basically, shows that interest, knocks on doors, is familiar with the parents of the, of the ward, because you may be a coach, or you may teach CCD, or you may you have to have relationships with parents, and people need to get to know you. I've seen people run for school committee that have no connection to kids whatsoever, and they think they're going to be successful. I don't get it. I've never gotten it.
Tom, I've never gotten that.
So I mean,
no connection at all to schools, and they're running for school committee.
I don't get it.
Well, sometimes candidates run for office and they don't go to the school committee meeting to see what they're doing, and they don't go to the city council meeting to see what they do. And they can watch them on TV, but it's different than actually showing up and going there and getting the information.
We formerly had school committee at large. And when I was in the House of Representatives, I filed a bill, a home rule petition, to go to school committee by wards. And the fear was when we went to the ward system, because past practice in Brockton was school committee people never ran for anything else. They didn't run for state rep, they didn't run for city council, they didn't run for mayor. They focused on education. And the fear was when we went to the ward system that it would be used as an incubator for aspiring politicians. Thus, those folks you're mentioning who would run for school committee and would have no connection to
kids or schools.
Some of them weren't married, some were bachelors, and didn't follow school sports, and why? And there was that fear it was being used as a springboard to other political spots, which is not a good situation.
Yeah, I mean, people want to know that you have a genuine and authentic connection and motivation to run.
Correct.
That you care about the schools, you care about the education of your kids, you care about the activities that your kids are taking part in. I mean, if you don't have that, I don't think you're going to be effective, nor should you hold a seat.
Agreed.
So we just need 2 more school committee races. Did you guys get an update? Moving around, I wasn't 100% clear on the Brady deal. We still
only the Brockton numbers.
We're only missing East Bridgewater, and
Plimpton.
Hanson,
Plimpton.
and Plimpton.
Okay, so 3 towns.
But they won't impact.
With respect to Ward 4 school committee, I would just like to say that longtime school committee woman Patty Joyce is vacating that seat. She's been with the school committee for 10 years, very committed to her ward and to the Brockton Public Schools. She's done a very good job, a fine job, as a matter of fact. And we're going to miss her expertise. So she's choosing not to run. She certainly put in her time and put in a lot of effort and gave it her all. So it's going to be a loss for that ward, but I'm sure Brett Gormley will do a good job. He has a background in education. I believe he's a teacher himself. And looks like we have some numbers.
There it is. Ward 7 school committee, Tom?
Timothy Sullivan at 876. Coming in over Raymond Henningsen, 845. Ray is the current school committee Ward 7 representative. Tim, as a lot of people know, held the seat prior to Ray taking it, and when Tim ran for councilor for Ward 7 and was not the winner. Shirley Azak prevailed. So Tim will be returning. Ray has done a fine job on the school committee. He's headed up and spearheaded a lot of efforts to raise school supplies for certain schools and has done a good job. I mean, that's a tight race. That's 31 votes.
And that's that would be a recount, I would think, automatic recount on that ward. Joyce Asak, unopposed in Ward 6, sister of Shirley Asak, 1,653 votes, and Judy Sullivan, also unopposed in Ward 5, 1,621 votes. So there is the Ward 4 numbers, Tom.
Brett Gormley prevails at 1181 over Nelson Montero, 623. Again, Brett has a background in teaching, but I also believe that Nelson Montero has been very active. He's been a substitute teacher in the Brockton Public Schools. He now works for, I believe, the Department of Industrial Accidents, but he does have an educational background, very well-educated individual with, I believe he has his bachelor's and his master's. So 2 very good candidates. Either one would have been good for the seat, but Brett Gormley will be joining us. I'm more familiar with Brett Gormley because he's appeared at many school committee meetings and functions. I don't know Mr. Montero, but Brett has introduced himself on several occasions and has really shown an interest in getting up to speed prior to coming on the school committee in January.
And the Ward 3 numbers are up there. We've gone over them before. Mark D'Agostino, 1,461 votes. Blessing Rogers, 801 votes. So your school committee at this point, Lisa Plant at 901 unopposed. So right now our school committee is Tom Minicello, Ward 1 returning, Ward 2 new face, Lisa Plant. Ward 3 is Mark D'Agostino. Ward 4
Brett
is
Gormley.
Brett Gormley. Ward
Judy
5
Sullivan.
is staying, Judy returning. Ward 6 is Joyce Asak, and Ward 7 is the upset.
Timothy Sullivan.
And that's a very close, that's a close
31
race.
31
I
votes.
had a feeling that was going to be, there was another one I thought was going to be close that I was dead wrong on. So those are our totals. I know we have video on the way where we had somebody go over to Bill Carpenter headquarters, and we have video that is coming over here of Bill. We can't go there live. Live works completely differently for cable than it does for broadcast. You end up with, we have the video right there, so why don't we cue the video and listen to what Newbie Rateau, formerly who had worked for the mayor, now a teacher up in Lynn, talked to Mayor Bill Carpenter.
Talk about the campaign, I mean, wow.
Well, it was different this time. I mean, when you're governing as the mayor, you just don't have the time to campaign that you have as the challenger. But I think we ran on our record of the past 22 years. I don't think you heard a whole lot of comments from me regarding the challenger. We ran on our record, and I think that, we earned a very solid win, 55% instead of the 55 votes we won by last time.
Going forward next 2 years, talk about some of your
Oh, we're just getting started. We have a lot of work to do. Fighting crime is absolutely the top issue facing the city. Continuing to improve and change the perception of the city. Continuing to create this atmosphere of attraction where private investors and private businesses want to invest in the city, creating jobs. We've hit the ground running. I think we're off to a great start, but I'll be the first to tell you that we've got a lot of work to do, and I can't wait to get back into City Hall tomorrow morning knowing that the residents of the city have shown their confidence in me, and they've re-upped my contract for another 2 years.
Well, congratulations. Take a day off tomorrow. You deserve it. All righty.
No days off.
Yeah.
Heard from Mayor Bill Carpenter, who is victorious, 55% of the vote this time instead of 55 votes last time.
Right.
So reactions to the mayor's statement?
I think he's right on point there. I think he established an agenda when he won election 2 years ago. He stayed on point with his message. Whether you've supported part of that message or not, the mayor has not deviated from that message. And I think it's obviously one that's resonating around the city and is continuing to build momentum. And I wish Mayor Carpenter the greatest success going forward for our next 2 years here.
Tom? And we're also going to be looking to the mayor for his continued support with regard to the schools. The Brockton Public Schools is a hallmark of this city. I think it's one of the crown jewels of the city. People look very fondly at the programs that we have here in Brockton. We have a wonderful high school. We have wonderful elementary and middle schools. And a lot of people are coming from other urban centers to Brockton because they know that we know how to get it done here. But what's important for us in the Brockton Public Schools is making sure that our kids are safe and making sure that there are good opportunities in terms of activities for them to get involved in. Because, with what's going on in the streets today, we want to keep our kids as far away from that as possible, that element, and we want activities for them, wholesome activities, sporting activities, the arts, band, music, drama, et cetera, et cetera. We do that so well in Brockton. We win awards year after year after year. It's one consistent, it's a consistent theme that Brockton is the best at whatever we do, and we want to continue to do that, and the mayor supports us on that, and we hope that the city will have more revenues so that we can contribute more and build on what we have in Brockton. The problem we have now, like Lisa Plant just mentioned, is our budget. We've had a tough budget over the years, and the senator has said it, the state, the funding from the state is a problem here in urban centers like Brockton. So we want to continue to do the good work that we have done in Brockton, and we look forward to working with the mayor and the councilors, and I certainly welcome the new school committee members as well, because I'm going to have a lot of new faces on the committee. I'm going to have one old face back who will, basically who will be a veteran, so to speak, but between Timmy, Judy, myself, the rest of the committee are going to be newbies, so we've got a lot of work to do.
And I understand we have coming into our studio one of our newly elected city councilors, and from Ward 6, young Jack Lally is coming into the studio, and Mark, you're going to be able to hook him up there momentarily, and we want to congratulate young Jack on his, impressive victory in Ward 6. And I look forward to seeing the good work that Jack's going to do as a resident of Ward 6. So, Mark, take it away.
Jack, welcome to the studio. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What do you attribute your victory to tonight?
I have to say, my team and the people who came out to vote, because I had somebody with me every day. I was out campaigning, supporting me, and I had enough people, not only say, oh, that's nice, or, oh, I'll vote for you. Like, they actually got up and they took the time out of their day to go down to the polling station and vote.
Pretty impressive victory. You knocked on a lot of doors. You talked to a lot of people. You had a three-way race to start with in the preliminary election, graduated to the top of the pack both times. I know your father and mother were there with you every step of the way. They worked beside you. I could see the pride in your father's eyes when I was talking to him as early as yesterday when John Keller came down to interview you and put a spin on the race. Do you think that was a factor at all?
I'm not sure how much it really weighed in, but I definitely heard people talking, people talk to me and say, oh, I saw you on TV last night. Oh, I saw you on TV. I mean, any bit of advertising like that helps, yeah.
So what do you think your first thing to do to get ready to be a city councilor? You're new to this. You're a political science student, I understand, at Bridgewater State.
Yes. Well, first thing, I'm gonna sleep in. I'm gonna go to bed early. I'm gonna sleep in. I'm exhausted. But certainly talk to Michelle Dubois, to see what's going on currently, what she's working on, things that she won't be able to wrap up before the transition, so I can get oriented with those and get acclimated with things like that.
Now, I know you're going to go back to school soon, right?
It's a school night, yeah.
It's a school night, so there you go.
I love saying that. It never gets old.
And, you might have a few good excuses now when you go to school, but I know you're a serious student. So anything you want to say to the constituents, the voters in Ward 6?
I'd like to thank them for giving me a vote, for giving me a chance here. And I want to thank especially everyone who, came and held signs, helped out, spread the word. A lot of people couldn't hold signs, but a lot of people, talked and, recommended, oh, you should vote for Jack Lally. They spread it like that. And that's something I appreciate, too. So, no matter who you came out to vote for, I appreciate the fact that, you go out and vote. Not enough people vote. But, if you went out and voted, if you came and, you volunteered and you helped out and you made a difference, I want to thank you.
Well, we wish you good luck. Remind you that you were able to be on television with the debates and on Democratically Speaking and not Democratically Speaking, Meet the Candidates. You're welcome here to communicate to your constituents anytime, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jack. Larry, Ward 6 guy.
Jack, congratulations again, and I know that there's a lot of smiling faces out there in Ward 6. You certainly, plastered the ward with your signage, and as you mentioned, your supporters that were out there with you day in and day out, and it was very, very evident because the voters felt that you were the candidate they wanted to put forward to help represent us in Ward 6. So congratulations there, Jack.
Thank you. Thank you.
Look forward to working with you.
Get some rest, go back, and Larry will do the final wrap-up, and I'll be back to join you on set.
All right, and we're going to wrap this up really quick. So in regards to the election, Senator, I think we saw in the city of Brockton anyways a tremendous victory on the part of the Democratic candidate Michael Brady.
Yes.
And by that vote margin, it certainly appears that, you know, Representative Deal is not going to be able to overcome the tsunami that the Brockton voters went out.
And you won't see, because it was the only race in the state.
Correct.
For the Senate, you saw a tremendous amount of money poured into this race, which you won't see a year from now. Mike will be the incumbent, and Mike's a worker.
No
And
question.
So he, although I was kidding about whether he's going to come to the BC game against North Carolina State on Saturday, if I know Michael, the following week he'll be knocking on doors and introducing himself to everybody in those 6 towns.
In those 6 towns.
He's a worker.
Exactly, yeah.
Michael's
No-
a worker.
No question about it.
Absolute tireless worker, and our partner that we've dealt with during the campaign season with some of the debates, WATD, has in fact given him the race completely in the whole entire district. We don't have all the towns and all the information, but we have the bulk of it at this point, so it's pretty safe to say that it'll be State Senator Michael Brady, and he will probably be sworn in very shortly because
Yes.
it's a vacant seat.
Yes.
So we're going to go over the numbers one more time, and then we'll wrap it up. We'll take a look and turn around to the screen and see what we have, and
see if Tom still
see
has
if
any
Tom
votes.
still has any votes. Exactly. Okay, so let's recap the numbers. I don't know which race we're going to start with. We're going to start with the state representative, state Senate race. Only Brockton numbers, just to remind everybody. Michael Brady, 11,193 votes. Jeff Deal, 3,594 votes. And Anna Grace Raddick, 506 votes. We'll switch over to the mayor vote, and Larry will take
And
that.
in the mayor's race, incumbent Mayor Bill Carpenter with 8,422 votes. Challenger Christopher McMillan, 6,729 votes. As you had mentioned, Mark, 55% of the vote versus just a 55-vote margin from 2 years ago.
Okay, the city councillor-at-large race, I'm going to go in vote total order. Robert Sullivan again tops the ticket, 8,177 votes. Moses Rodriguez, 5,892 votes. Shayna Barnes, 5,607 votes. And new councillor-at-large Winthrop H. Farwell Jr., 4,760 vote. Congratulations to the 4 winners. And not too far behind, Sue Nicastro, 4,644 votes. Next up, Craig Pena, 3,904 votes. Adius Pierre, 3,134 votes. And Gary Keith, 2,375. And we congratulate them for their effort.
But we also want to congratulate outgoing Councillor-at-Large Jay Stewart for the work that he's done here in the city of Brockton over the last, I believe, 6 years he's been on the council. So, you know, Councillor Stewart he took a new employment. He chose not to run, but Councillor Stewart has made a significant impact here in the politics of the city of Brockton, and we want to congratulate him for the efforts that he did here as well.
Exactly. Take Ward 1 away, Tom.
In Ward 1 for City Council, we have Timothy Cruz coming in at 1365, the incumbent, versus Tom Siddell, 977. As we know, that was a rematch, and Tim Cruz pulled away this year with a much larger margin than last year. This guy I might know, 1874, so I'm very happy with that.
Come up from 4 zeros.
Yeah, really.
There you go.
Tommy Monahan, City Councilor, Ward 2, 954 votes. Tom, as you all know, does a great job, certainly answers the calls of his constituents and is very vested. Lisa Plant, who we just met, very active.
School committee ward.
Yep, a very active individual with the schools. One uncontested city school committee for Ward 2, 901, so she'll be joining me as one of the new members. I'm going to have 4 new members and 1 repeat member, Tim Sullivan, so he's not so green.
Senator, take away Ward 3.
Formerly from the Fighting Fifth, Dennis Ianieri, now living in Ward 3, prevailed with 1,731 votes to Marlon Green's 488 votes.
School committee, we have Mark DiAgostino, 1461, who prevailed over Blessing Rogers, 801, and he will be taking over the vacated seat by Alicia Clark.
Ward 4, City Councilor Paul Studensky, re-elected, no opposition, 1,511 votes. The Studensky tradition continues. Ward 4, School Committee, Tom?
We have Brett Gormley coming in at 1181. He prevailed over Nilton Montero, 623. Brett will be taking over for longtime school committee member Patricia Joyce, who's leaving.
And this is really the upset of the night, I believe, if you really think about it. We've had two upsets, really. But when you look at the City Council Ward 5 race, Ann Beauregard, 962 votes, to Ollie J. Spears, 961 votes. I think, as you said earlier, Mark, that's going to trigger an automatic recount. And what's going to be interesting here is that we know when recounts have happened in the city of Brockton that the integrity of the voting machines is almost 99.9% pure. So it's going to be really interesting to see what's going to happen there.
School committee member, Ward 5, Judy Sullivan, will be returning. She was unopposed, 1621.
In Ward 6, the second of upsets this night, new kid on the block, let's call it, Jack Lally, 1,209 votes to Steve Foote, 847 votes, and new wave of face coming into the council.
For Ward 6, school committee member Joyce Asak will be coming on board with 1653. She'll be taking over for the vacated seat by the untimely passing of our friend Mike Healy. Ozzie Jordan stepped up to the plate and has done a fine job, and we will miss Ozzie as well.
City Councilor in Ward 7, Shirley Asak, re-elected unopposed, 1,404 votes. One of the most positive people you could ever meet. Shirley Asak is someone that loves this city and has already shown it in her one term so far. She'll be re-elected to a second term. And Ward 7, Tom?
Well, we have an upset. We have Timothy Sullivan, who was a former member of the school committee 2 years ago, coming in at 876 over incumbent Raymond Henningsen, a small margin of 31 votes. So this one it will trigger, I would believe, a recount as well, correct?
I would think so, because it's less than 0.5%. So those are the numbers, folks. This is the election 2015. We're pretty close to the 10 o'clock hour. I want to thank the broadcast team here tonight. It's nice to have you, Senator, because you're very knowledgeable and you know all the past history. That's the wonderful part of it.
That's the beauty of it.
And have served in the seat. Larry, thank you for your help.
Thank you.
Ward 6 expert and a political operative in the city of Brockton.
And an opinionated individual.
Well, that too. That too. We'll leave that one.
Sometimes a little overly, but that's all right.
Tom, thank you very much. Your insight with the school committee race and your help also doing the interviews for Common Sense to put some of the candidates on TV is very important for the voters to get to see all the candidates. And I thank you very much.
You're welcome. It was a great season, I would say. A lot of activity.
And we're going to start with a state representative race real soon. I just want to thank all the members of the BCA staff, volunteers, and interns, my wife who came to help as well, and our cook for the night as well. We had a nice dinner before we did this broadcast. For all of us at Brockton Community Access, we will be back with more election coverage as soon as the next election happens, and we can concentrate on our award-winning Brockton High School sports teams. We have the boys soccer in the tournament and the football team in the tournament as well, and we will go forward. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a good night, and we'll be back with more TV. Thank you.